Welcome on in to Falcons Today, live showtime. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday watching round 2 of the NBA draft. Very boring, if I'm being honest, as if Bronny James was not in this, I don't know what we would be waiting and watching for. But we're going to hang out with you guys for the next 60 or so minutes, running through some trade rumors that were floated out there, plus extension candidates for the Falcons. I know it's the slow portion of the offseason, but pat yourself on the back for hanging out with us right now, because the casuals, they'll check in when September rolls around. They'll check out when January gets here. But the diehards, 12 months a year, 365 days, or in this case, 366 days a year. So shout out your city for me. I want to show some love to everyone watching right now. Let me know where you are tuning in from down below in the comment section, as I have the TV on behind the camera. So I'm kind of watching through the camera to the TV, because I just want to see if the Lakers get Bronny James. It would be hysterical if the Boston Celtics, one pick before the Lakers, selected Bronny James and then held him for ransom. That would be some actual NBA Game of Thrones shit. Bleacher Report has like the Game of Thrones videos for the NBA. I forget what they call it. Someone in the chat remind me. That would be a headline episode of that. We've got Christy watching from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I've been to Hattiesburg a few times. A good friend of mine in college was from there. We stopped there on our way to South Padre Island for spring break, and we went to this Chinese restaurant in Hattiesburg where they got you a liquor punch bowl and they lit it on fire. It was really cool, and then we all got dramatically overserved and were more or less tossed out.
As you would.
Yeah, it was a great night of my sophomore year of spring break.
That's
okay.
electric.
Grand Limousine tuning in from Atlanta. Mason B watching from Denver, sitting in a mandatory class for work. Boo. Boo indeed. William is in Iowa. I've got Steven watching from England. We've got Norwich, New York in the house. I've got Archangel here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Shout out your city in the chat for me. Christy Lewis, now I got to figure out where that was. I would hope you'd have the answer, because I definitely don't have the answer. It was a good Chinese place, at least for, no offense, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Asian cuisine. But I had a good time in my few visits to Hattiesburg. Okay. Will the Falcons win a playoff game this year? Just an off-the-wall question, but what's your gut reaction? I think the expectations for Atlanta are make the playoffs. If you sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract, the belief is that quarterback is talented enough to get you and the rest of that roster into the dance, right? There's 32 teams in the NFL, 14 make the playoffs. So we're looking for not even exactly the 50% mark, but just a little bit above that. So I think we can kind of gloss over making the playoffs, because that's not a guarantee by no stretch, but that is the expectation. So I want to take it one step further. Will they win a playoff game? Yes or no? What do you guys think? William says yes. Timo T. Solid says yes. Mason B. says yes. Brennan says yes. Bernard's watching from Maryland. I'm getting a good amount of yeses in the chat here, as we have Ridgeland, South Carolina in the chat. I think the Falcons are capable of winning the NFC South. That's not saying a ton if we're being honest here. Circle of Trust, our producer today, Trace Gerard, hosts our Saints channel here, and I think he would even agree that going 9-8 is not saying a whole lot about your team. So we did see the Bucs last year going to 9-8 and host a playoff game, and that was a difference maker in helping them win a playoff game. So Atlanta can host a playoff game even as the 4 seed if they are just bottom of the barrel for division winners. 5 seed could be and probably will be a tough team, and probably even have a better record. I think that's actually like somewhat common. I feel like the 5 seed always has a better record than a 4 seed.
The past 3 years, the 5 seed has been a better record than the
4 seed. The 4 seed's always just the charity division winner. Not always, but it's a good chunk of the time. Yeah. So I'll say yes. Why not? Hell yeah. It's June 27th. Why would I not just be optimistic? Put me down in the yes column for Atlanta winning a playoff game. They're going to knock off who would have 2 good teams in their division and one just miss. The NFC East is always one that kind of comes to mind. Although they're so wishy-washy year to year, I feel like that whole division's kind of due for a regression year.
Mine's the NFC West, because I could see the Rams.
That's a great one.
And the Niners.
Yes. So the Rams, maybe the Niners win the division, but the Rams finish second and with a better record than any other wild card team. NFC North is going to be sneaky tough this year. Like the Lions and Packers both won playoff games last year. The Bears got Caleb Williams, and the Vikings are just going to be kind of competitive-ish, or maybe like a hard out. That's a good cliche to use. There'll be a hard out this year. So I'll say it is Falcons hosting. I like the Rams. I'll steer your Rams. Yeah, I'll go with the Rams.
I was going to say, mine is whoever the NFC South wins is going to play the Rams.
Yeah, give me Falcons, Rams in the playoffs. Okay. Unrelated question. I've got the TV on if you're just tuning in for the NBA draft. So I will keep everyone apprised of the Bronny James status because I know that's really the only entertaining thing to watch for in day 2 of the NBA draft. Do you follow the NBA draft? I was driving to my dog's daycare today to drop her off, and I was talking to my mom on the phone, and we were talking about the NBA draft because she called me last night, and I was like, sorry to miss your call. I was working our chat sports coverage for the draft. She's like, I didn't watch it. And she kind of loosely follows sports. And I was like, I don't blame you. The NBA draft is such a broken product right now for a handful of reasons. Some that they can fix, some they can't fix. The biggest reason why it's a broken product is no one in the United States will watch European basketball or G League basketball to have any idea who the first or even second overall pick was in this year's draft. Sure, if your team, in this case the Hawks, are picking first overall, you'll do some extra research. But let's be honest, like if your team's picking 12th, like you're just not going to devote the time to learn about these guys playing in France or Serbia. Whereas the NFL draft, it's a beautiful built-in process because everyone watches college football. So everyone knows these players. That's the biggest issue with the NBA draft. The next issue is it's so confusing. I think I know a lot about sports. I cannot begin to even understand the trades that happen in the NBA draft and who's actually taking what player. Why does the NBA insist on this dumb charade of the Atlanta Hawks are taking this player and then immediately trading him to another team? Just do what the NFL does. Luka and Trey, just have them actually swap picks. Stop doing this player's going to put on a hat for this team and then immediately go play for another team. It makes for horrible marketing, right? These teams cannot even market their draft pick because the guy was wearing a hat for a different team. That's, I think, the biggest crime. Something they can actually control is they love to make it as complex as possible. Just make it like the NFL draft. If you want to trade picks, trade picks. Don't make the selection and then trade the player and then have it be announced by Adam Silver 4 selections later going, by the way, before we say pick number 17 for the Lakers, a couple of picks ago, the Magic made a selection, and they actually traded that guy already.
I also, a weird one, I was today years old. I literally heard somebody today talking about, oh, yeah, you can buy picks. And I was like, what?
Yeah. So that's my spiel, my rant. I don't understand why the NBA enjoys being difficult. Like the NFL is the best league in all of professional sports, in my opinion, across the globe. And how do I know that? I know how I know that. You might argue soccer in Europe, the EPL. How often are EPL games happening in the U.S. versus NFL games in Europe? We send a game to Munich, Germany, and it's sold out. And they don't even call it football there. Like, that's how much we dominate. I say we, American football, worldwide. Except for those kids that lost to Japan. Take their passports away. They are no longer citizens.
They're not American.
No. Those were some
that
spies
was
from Guantanamo Bay. Where was I going with this? Going with the NFL? Oh, the NFL just dunking on the NBA. Just follow the NFL draft model. I know you can't have every player come from college like in the NFL, but at least simplify it. All right, $20 super chat coming in from Grand Limousine. Grand Limousine, shout out to you. Thank you, as always, for supporting the channel. This is our unofficial sponsor of Falcons Today. It's a great limousine company in Atlanta. I've never ridden on their beautiful fleet of cars before, but I'd love to one day. And if you're looking to ride in style, Grand Limousine, give them a shout because they support Falcons Today. So shout out to everyone over at Grand Limousine. I like to think that the group of people that work there, it's like the new Netflix show Tires.
Yes.
That would be an awesome work environment.
I was literally about to say, I've heard it's a really good crew, similar to the group in Tires.
Shane Gillis is working at customer service for them. Okay, Grand Limousine, thank you guys so much.
And T.I. is going to come do a concert.
Okay, we got 20 people, 20 likes so far, 65 people hanging out with us. Hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. At the end of the show, we'll have a mailbag. So if you have any questions you want to ask, just use hashtag Falcons in the chat, or you can super chat. If you super chat like Grand Limousine just did, you'll get on screen for everyone watching. So appreciate everyone that asks questions, and of course, everyone that super chats. It's a great way to kind of get a two-way conversation going here at Falcons Today, because it is not Matthew Sports. It is Chat Sports. We're chatting with each other. Are we ready to jump into today's show? Latest news and rumors. We got a fun trade rumor that came across my desk. Extension candidates. And then that mailbag I just talked about. Still waiting for a Bronny James selection. I think he's just going to probably go to the Lakers at 55. Yep. Okay. Austin, by the way, watching on vacation in Germany. Shout out to you, Austin. Appreciate you for watching. Austin, if I remember correctly, is our resident Kentucky Wildcat fan. So I'm a little mad at Austin because 2 Wildcats went before Dalton Connect yesterday in round 1 of the NBA draft, and that was a crime because Dalton Connect is going to be a star at the next level. Okay, we got a $2 super chat rolling in from Andrew Beto. What's up, fellas? Rise up. Always enjoy the show. Cheers to you, Andrew. Thank you so much for your super chat, dude. Rise up indeed. Hope you're having a good Thursday, and thank you for hanging out with us. All right, are we ready to jump into a live edition of Falcons Today? Everyone show Andrew some love in the chat right now. Spam Beto down below. Before we jump into the nuts and bolts of today's episode, just a random off-the-wall question. Will the Falcons win a playoff game? I'm not going to say it's a guarantee they make the playoffs, but that's definitely the expectation after the contract given out to Kirk Cousins. So I'll take it one step further. Will they win a playoff game? I think they will. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Let's talk about a wild, to say the least. And we do come across some wild news, rumors, and trade ideas on today's show. This one might be a Mount Rushmore trade idea. So it came from Bleacher Report that put out these wild 3-team trades, which producer Trace, when we were getting ready for today's show, asked me, Trivia, do you know the last 3-team trade? And I really couldn't think of one. And I'm not even convinced that there has ever been a 3-team trade in the NFL before. So someone can fact check me on that. But I think Bleacher Report just has like the NBA brain on right now of NBA offseason. 3-team trades happen all the time. Let's apply that to NFL. So here was the Bleacher Report 3-team trade idea, which had Matthew Judon, the Patriots edge rusher, going to Atlanta, someone we have talked about before on the channel, the Patriots getting Brandon Aiyuk, and the 49ers coming away with Mike Hughes, a first-round draft pick from New England, and a third-round draft pick from Atlanta. I don't see a world where the 49ers move on from Brandon Aiyuk when they are trying so hard to win right now, and all they walk away with is a backup corner, a first-round draft pick, which could be very valuable. I don't think the Patriots can be very good this year, and then a third-round pick from the Falcons. I don't see a world where the 49ers trade Brandon Aiyuk and do not get a wide receiver in return. But that's for the 49ers to discuss. Let's look at this through the Falcons lens, because this is basically trading Mike Hughes and a third-round draft pick away for Matthew Judon and splitting up your assets over 2 different teams. So Hughes and a third for Matthew Judon. It doesn't look like a lot because it's not a ton for a player that just 2 years ago had 15.5 sacks. Before that, 12.5 sacks in what would be a run of 4 straight Pro Bowl appearances. But unfortunately, last year, Judon had a season cut short due to injury, only played 4 games. But, man, was he efficient in those 4 games. 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. In fact, if Matthew Judon doesn't appear to be like a household pass rusher name to you, I'm not going to say shame on you because he really isn't at that tier of like TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, but he's not far off. If you look at the NFL sack leaders from 2019 to 2020, his best stretch in the NFL, he finished 5th in total sacks with 43.5. Actually finished tied for 4th with Aaron Donald and only half a sack behind Cameron Jordan. So, yeah, he's still 10-plus sacks behind Garrett and TJ Watt, but you're not getting any caliber player of one of those two guys in a trade. But to get someone with 43.5 sacks in a 4-year stretch that's not very long ago, that's pretty appetizing for a team that needs a lot of help at the pass rusher position. I would do Matthew Judon for a 4th-round draft pick. Now, I'm not trying to be a penny pincher here, and Judon would definitely be a big, I wouldn't say necessarily improvement. Actually, I would say an improvement to the pre-existing pass rushing room. It'd be a big lift to the room. That's a better cliche to use. Now, when it comes to the finances for Matthew Judon, he's entering the last year of a 4-year contract he signed with the Patriots. He had like a hold in during minicamp as he looks to get extended. Now, the last year of his contract looks as follows. He's got a $14.6 million cap hit for New England, $10.2 million dead cap, which is money that the Patriots would have devoted to their cap space for a player not on their roster. The Patriots would save a little under $7 million, but the base salary is really the only number that Falcons fans need to look at because the base salary is usually what you take on in a trade. And any bonuses that haven't been paid out yet, you'd also take on, but a lot of time those bonuses are already paid out when the new league year starts in March. So for the Falcons, it's really taking on a guy with a $6.5 million contract for one season, which isn't going to put them in a bind for their salary cap space. So financially, it can very well be done. Now, Mike Hughes, I don't think is some household corner that the Falcons cannot part ways with. But when you look at the cornerback room for Atlanta, it's skinny. Like, there's not a lot of depth here. And I'm not going to say that Mike Hughes should stand in the way of getting a player who had 16.5 sacks 2 years ago for a pass rush that the highest returning sack player on the roster is at 6. But I do think it is worth at least acknowledging, moving on from Mike Hughes, and if something happens to Terrell or Clark Phillips or D. Alford, your backups are Antonio Hamilton and who? Like, just players you and I had never heard of. That's not going to put you in a good spot. That's going to be really tough. You will be in a major bind, and you are on thin ice if you move on from Mike Hughes or D. Alford or anyone else in this cornerback room. Now, is Mike Hughes a world-class corner? No. 21 tackles a season ago, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup. But he is a really good, solid backup corner if that's his floor. And he's got starting capabilities. He has started a handful of games in the NFL, over 20, I think, from his time with the Vikings all the way to the present day with Atlanta. So I'm not necessarily rushing to trade Mike Hughes away just to get a player. Like, you should really consider how thin the cornerback room is and the fact that they did not draft a single player at that position. It's going to make you think twice about trading a single corner away. Now, as for the draft pick, it actually would be a little bit of a blow because you lost your 5th-round draft pick due to the tampering with Kirk Cousins. The 6th-round draft pick went to the Eagles, if I recall correctly, for Kentavious Street. So if you lose your 3rd, you've got 4 draft picks for next year's draft, a 1st, a 2nd, a 4th, and a 7th. So 4 picks, sure, you can add some more with some trades, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of ammunition going into next year's draft. And GMs like their picks, right? That's what they do to prove their worth, is they draft great players. And if you don't give them bullets in the chamber, they don't have a target to shoot at. Now, as we circle back to this trade idea from Bleacher Report, after listening to my last few minutes of analysis and breakdown of the idea, would you accept this trade? Falcons get Matthew Judon, and they lose a 3rd and cornerback Mike Hughes. Give me an A for accept or give me a D for decline down below in the comment section. Personally, as much as Switzerland I've done for the last few minutes, I'd accept this trade. Matthew Judon is just too good of a pass rusher to pass on for a team that's looking to win right now and needs a lot of help at the pass rushing position. Do I like the idea of moving on from Mike Hughes? No. And that's because there's just not a lot of depth there. But you could find another cornerback in free agency, and you could make do. I think if that was truly a trade that was on my desk, I don't think I'd decline it. I think I would ultimately accept it if I'm being honest with everyone. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show and talk more about this and some other topics, lock yourself in for the upcoming season here at Falcons Today. Help us reach 22,400 subscribers If you have not subscribed yet and you're looking for a free Falcons YouTube channel, hit the sub button down below. We're going to keep you guys entertained and informed all year long. So, as I was saying, I would do the trade for Matthew Judon because ask yourself this question. What defense do you like more? This current front five as it is, and then the current three corners, or no Mike Hughes, and it's Ebiketie, Harrison, Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, and Matthew Judon. I'm personally going to go with the latter. Now, if they don't bring on Matthew Judon, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a scary world because we don't really know what to expect out of the pass rushing unit, right? You hope Arnold Ebiketie can take a big step forward going into his next year in the NFL with a real starting role. Not that he didn't have one last year, but, Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell gone. He's kind of the true number one edge rusher on this team now. Lorenzo Carter somewhat regressed in year 2 with the Falcons. Zach Harrison finished the year strong last season, but I'm just not in a spot where I can put all my chips in his breakout sophomore campaign. And then the only real addition they made was third-round draft pick Braylon Trice, who they took out of Washington. Last year for the Huskies, 11.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 80 pressures. He was one of the most productive pass rushers in college football the last 2 seasons. But, keywords, college football. I caution people watching to think that a third-round edge is going to make a huge impact their rookie season. And as it currently stands, the Falcons need Braylon Trice to make an impact their rookie year. They are not in a spot where they can let him sit and develop like other teams. No. And history says that's not a very good bet to make. I looked back at the last 5 years of drafts from 2019 to present and all the edge rushers taken in round 3 and their sacks in their rookie season. Zach Harrison, one of the best of the bunch with 3. BJ Sanders, who's also a free agent right now for the Cardinals in 2022, he had 3 sacks. Yaya Diaby last year for the Buccaneers, he had 7.5. That was the best by a mile. And there's some good players here. Jonathan Grenard, Alex Highsmith, Zach Allen. Alex Wright last year had 4 or 5 sacks. This is not a good bet to make. Like, there's 10 names on screen here, and you want to get 4 sacks from Braylon Trice? That's a 10% chance of happening based on the last 5 years of drafts. So I'm not in a spot where I feel like, yep, we can just fully trust that Braylon Trice can come through in the clutch his rookie season and bring a lot of production. They don't need to trade or add another pass rusher. No, I don't think that's a safe and wise bet to make. Now, it's June. We are a long ways away from football really getting underway because it doesn't even come back when preseason gets here. Don't fall for that bullshit. Football is back Thursday night, week 1, when it's the Ravens and the Chiefs throwing down at Arrowhead. So as we sit here and talk in June, it feels so far away. It's out of sight, out of mind. But I think that this is something that we'll look back on when the season rolls around. And if the defense is underwhelming and it's leading to losses, we can kind of pinpoint, oh yeah, they probably should have made some bigger investments on the defensive side of the football and not just banked on a couple of rounds 2 through 4 draft picks and coaching from Raheem Morris to bring this defense up. And I say that because if you're going to go all in, which signing Kirk Cousins to a $180 million contract kind of signals you're ready to win right now, don't half-ass it. And that's literally what they've kind of done here. They've half-assed it. They did the offensive half, and they didn't do the defensive half. All right, trivia here before we get on with the rest of our days. Since 2010, which edge rusher received the largest free agency contract from the Falcons? Let me know in the comment section. We're going to reveal the answer in just a second. So if you want, pause the video right now, think about it, screenshot it, send it to your friend, your group chat. But since 2010, which edge rusher received the largest contract in free agency from the Falcons? Drum roll, please. It is Dante Fowler. Signed that 3-year, $45 million contract. That $45 million contract, by the way, right over here, one of the largest contracts given out in Falcons free agency since 2010. Obviously, recent ones like Kirk Cousins and, nope, Darnell Mooney's not even at $45 million. Tops it. But Dante Fowler, the fact that $45 million over 3 years is the most the Falcons have spent on a position that has plagued the franchise since its inception is kind of pathetic. Mailbag at the end of today's show. Get your questions in right now. Use hashtag Falcons or Super Chat. Is that question too tough?
Okay, so
I like tough questions because I don't. What I love trivia. I hate trivia that patronizes me. Like if I ever see a trivia question that's like, "Who's the Falcons' all-time leading passer in touchdowns?" Like, well, you're just wasting my time with this.
well, I looked up the three-team trade.
Oh, share with the class.
So there have been three team deals done in the past. So no team would be breaking new ground if they were to agree to one today, but they are hardly as common in the NBA. One of the more notable three-team trades in the NFL came way back on Halloween Day in 1987.
So a little bit before I was born.
Yep. So when the Rams,
11 years.
Bills and Colts completed a massive deal that included 10 players, draft picks, including a Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson.
Whoa. I did not know that. There are some old sneaky trades that our generation just didn't know like that happened. Like some with like really good players.
Yep.
Like everyone knows, well, not everyone, but Falcons fans know Brett Favre. But like John Elway, he was traded to the Broncos after being drafted by the Colts.
Eli Manning.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Traded right after being drafted by the Chargers.
Yep.
He's
like, I'm not going there. His dad was like, we're not going to talk about it. And I don't know if either side, definitely the Giants. I don't know if the Chargers would want Eli over Rivers. I think Rivers was a better quarterback. Just didn't have the postseason luck and success.
Yeah. Well, I also add this. Did you know that there's a guy, Matthew Petey fan? Petey is the guy.
Yeah, no, Matthew, my burner has been hanging around here for a couple months now, actually.
He said, this is the first time I've seen it. I love it.
Yeah. Shay hates him. Shay's like, that's my competition.
I could imagine.
Yeah. Andrew Beto with another super chat. What's going on, Andrew? Been watching this channel since 200 subs. Really have enjoyed the hard work you guys put in all year, every year. Keep up the hard work. Thank you so much, Andrew. You know, those kinds of comments, they do make our days here at Chat Sports because I do think that while we do have a really fun and awesome job, there is actually a lot of work that goes into every video. Like, it's not just come into the office at 10:30 with a breakfast taco, shoot the shit for 90 minutes, and then go home at 2.
No, it's 9 to 6:30.
Yeah,
like that.
Usually get in about 9 to 9:10, 9:15ish, and leave between 6 to 6:30ish. And a lot of prep goes into every single video.
And it's very demoralizing when you put out a video and you put a ton of work into it and it doesn't get results. And so getting these kind of comments really means a lot. Thanks, Andrew.
They do mean a lot. It's demoralizing when videos that like the topic of it may not be super juicy, like a trade rumor or something, but like you enjoyed making and no one watches it. And then you get comments, it's like, all you guys do is make up rumors. Like, one, we're not making up a rumor. I've never done that once on this channel. 2, you guys love watching the rumor videos. When I try to do the non-rumor-based ones, the views aren't there. Sneaky one, if you want to show some love to your host, whether it's here or another channel, Chat Sports, thumbnails. They are not 2-minute things. And there's just some some effort goes in there. Okay. You're right, the shirt does blend into the background. This was not a good fashion choice. I'm not going to take pride in my fashion ever. Yeah. No. I'm a very minimalistic person when it comes to clothing. I don't like shopping very much. I don't like getting new stuff. Like, no, I'm not a fashion show guy. Once my mom gives me my polos for Christmas, that's going to round it out for the next year. Yeah. I also don't, I own one pair of shoes.
And like, the beauty is, you don't have to clean out your wardrobe all the time because you're not getting stuff every week.
Exactly. I wear one pair of shoes every single day. I don't rotate shoes. I'm like a dad in that way. All right. Okay. Are we ready to jump into some extension candidates? Like this video, I had a lot of fun making. It's not going to do as well as the Matthew Judon one, though. That's going to kind of annoy me because Matthew Judon one probably not going to happen. But these ones could. But people still don't watch it. All right. Let's, Andrew Beto, I think you're going to like a portion of this next segment because it's about the question you just asked. Here we go. Let's get into it. Welcome on into Falcons Today. We're talking extension candidates for Atlanta. Right now, we're kind of in that real slow portion of the offseason. It's like the offseason of the offseason. And this is usually where GMs start to go, all right, we've taken care of free agency, we've taken care of the draft. Now we can kind of look at our roster and our books and figure out who do we want to lock up long term. And you'll see extensions get done as we get closer to training camp, and especially when training camp gets underway, and then through the preseason into the regular season. Because the GMs, the manager, the GMs, the agents, they're in a lot more close contact, and that's where you see a lot of deals get birthed. So I want to look at a couple of extension candidates for Atlanta. Now, if an extension happens for any of these three players we're going to look at or anyone else, you know we're going to do a video on it. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Now, the first candidate you saw coming a mile away, it is indeed AJ Terrell. And this is not a new topic. This is not a new candidate. But I do want to kind of refresh everyone's memories on Terrell and also kind of come from a different angle as well. So some background. Terrell entering the last year of his rookie contract. It's that fifth-year fully guaranteed option, $12.3 million. He has made 61 starts since being drafted 16th overall in 2020, which, by the way, is fifth amongst all cornerbacks. So when you look at extension candidates, touchdowns, yards, picks, sacks, whatever position you play, those are all very important factors into deciding whether or not to extend them. But one stat that does not get usually mentioned enough is availability. If you are paying someone to do a job, you want them to be healthy to do the job. And injuries stink, and they're out of players' control, but that is something that you have to factor in. And Terrell is someone that you can be confident in being available. Through 4 seasons so far for the Falcons, some may look at his stats as like up and down. I don't think that's an appropriate way to look at it. Yes, you can look at Terrell's first two years and compare them to the last 2 years. And the first 2 years, he had 4 interceptions and 4 forced fumbles, 8 takeaways. He has had 0 the last 2 years. Pass breakups is down. Tackles is down. I think your casual would say, oh, Terrell's not as good. I'll challenge you on that. Let's look at AJ Terrell's stats in coverage now. Look at the amount of targets that he had the first 2 years compared to the last 2 years. Those are down. Look at the completions. Those are down. Look at the yards given up. Those are down. So, yeah, he may not have the interceptions and the pass breakups and the forced fumbles, but that's because no one's looking his way. Look at the targets. Look at the completions. He has become an island corner. So, you're not going to get the big plays when the guy is on the other side of the field of where the ball goes. And that's not a bad thing for your corner. That's actually a pretty impressive thing. Now, what kind of money could Terrell get in an extension? I think we can all agree AJ Terrell is a really good corner in this league. I think he has Pro Bowl caliber play in him. I'm not going to go as far to say that he is a top 3 corner in the NFL. And I don't think that he'll be paid like a top 3 corner. But I do think AJ Terrell could crack the top 10 for highest paid corners in the National Football League. So, here's the extension idea that I've been portraying all offseason long. It's a 4-year, $72 million extension. That's an average of $18 million a season, and that would make him the 9th highest paid corner. So look at that $18 million. Now look again at the top 10 highest paid corners. We're talking about going one slot behind Jalen Johnson. And I don't think he's very far off from the L'Jarius Sneeds and the Jalen Johnsons of the world. I think this is a pretty good deal for both sides. The Falcons get their number 1 corner locked down without some massive overpay. And for AJ Terrell, he gets to be the top 10 highest paid cornerback in football and doesn't have to gamble on this upcoming season and then test free agency next year. Now, what's a possible outcome where the Falcons decide not to extend Terrell? If Raheem Morris feels like, listen, for what I want to do defensively, I don't think Terrell's a good fit. We're going to run a lot of zone defense. We think AJ Terrell is better suited for man defense. So we're not about to invest in him for the next 4 years if we don't think he can run our system well. We can find someone else for half the price that would be better at this job. I know this probably isn't the best Colin Cowherd analogy, but I think it'd be somewhat like, hey, we need a plumber, and you bring in an electrician. Like that's not a great one, but the point being is like, there are roles within positions. And if they don't think like Terrell's a good fit in that scheme, that could be something that ultimately leads them down the path of we're going to play out this year. We'll see how he does during this upcoming season if he starts to jive well. And if that's the case, maybe they get a midseason extension done. If they let it go into the year and AJ Terrell is balling out and it's October, November, and they give him that offer that I just showed you on screen, AJ Terrell might go, you know what? If you gave me that in August, I would have said yes. But now that I'm almost at free agency, I can get $20 more million if I wait a few months. So no, that is one factor to consider. Now the other thing is, no matter how bad of a fit you think AJ Terrell will be in this defense, I just don't see a world where the Falcons can accept going into 2025 needing a pass rusher and a corner, because they already know they have to go get an edge rusher in next year's draft or free agency. Factor in corner, you're looking for 2 cornerstone pieces on your defense. That's a really long to-do list for one offseason. So that could be something that sways them back in favor of extending Terrell. So let me ask you guys this question. Would you extend AJ Terrell? Give me a yes or give me a no down in the comment section whether or not you would extend the Falcons' 2020 16th overall pick out of Clemson. Moving on to our second candidate, Drew Dalman, the center, who I think is likely to get an extension. He is entering the final year of his rookie contract. He was a 4th-round draft pick out of Stanford back in 2021. Didn't start at all in 2021, but started every single game he's played in since 2022 and has made 31 starts, period, over the last 2 seasons. Now, when you look at his Pro Football Focus grades as a starter the last 2 years, the guy went from being the 14th best center, middle of the road in his first year as a starting center, to a top 3 center last year. And conveniently for him, and good for him, he goes into the final year of his contract, in a contract year, coming off the best year of his NFL career, which definitely sets him up nicely for a big payday. Now, what do centers get paid? Well, lucky for you, that's my job. Tyler Biadasz got paid by the Washington Commanders in free agency this year, a little under $10 million. I think this is the range that you could see Drew Dalman get paid, especially if it's an extension. Usually extensions are slight underpays for the athlete, but they don't have to gamble on that upcoming season, and they get all that guaranteed money right now. And if they were to get injured, it's not all wiped away. So I think you could see a Drew Dalman extension look something like this. A 4-year, $40 million extension. That's an average of $10 million. So that makes him the 5th highest paid center in football, and you guarantee $30 million, which basically makes this a 3-year, $30 million contract. And now you look at Atlanta's offensive line, and its core pieces, which are almost all 5 of them, are locked in for the upcoming future. Jake Matthews sure is coming towards the end of his career. Bergeron's entering year two. Drew Dalman's entering year 4. Chris Lindstrom signed an extension. He's locked up for the foreseeable future. Caleb McGarry has 1 year beyond 2024 on his contract. Like, you've got your entire offensive line locked down for 2024 and 2025. You'd have the same starting 5 offensive linemen for 3 straight years at a minimum, 2023, 2024, 2025. That's a rare thing for teams to accomplish. Now, before we get on to our third and final extension candidate, trivia question for today's show. The Falcons extended what offensive tackle to a 6-year, $40.8 million contract in 2013, but unfortunately, he only played 4 games on that 6-year extension because of injuries? Let me know in the comment section if you can name this player. We will reveal the answer later on in today's show. Third and final extension candidate, I'm going to go with Grady Jarrett. And I'll be honest with you guys, I wanted to do something in 3s, the rule of 3s, and there really wasn't an obvious prime third extension candidate. So I felt like Grady Jarrett would be the next most likely one. For anyone wondering why I didn't do like a rookie, you can't extend a player until they have played 3 years of their rookie contract. So you can't extend Drake London. You could extend Kyle Pitts, but I think it's best for everyone to see this final year kind of work out, or the next 2 years, I should say. But anyway, Grady Jarrett. He's got 2 years remaining on that 3-year extension he signed, up to $50.4 million. Since being drafted in 2015, he is the team leader in tackles for loss, and he only trails Vic Beasley, which is kind of sad that he has to trail Vic Beasley, in sacks with 34. Now, he is going to turn, or he just turned 31 years old in April, and he is coming off a torn ACL. So, on the wrong side of 30, coming off a knee injury, you could have some very fair skepticism and fear about extending Grady Jarrett. But I think we can all agree this guy is the heart and soul of this defense. He has been one of the longest tenured players on this roster. Only Jake Matthews, I think, has been around longer. And he is such an instrumental part of the leadership of this team. And everyone loves and raves about Grady Jarrett. He's going to go down as a Falcon Ring of Honor nominee and then admission in a few years after he retires. Grady Jarrett is Atlanta Falcons football. So why would Atlanta extend him? Because look at the cap hits the next 2 years. This year, it doesn't really matter too much because all the money they've wanted to spend has already been spent. But 2025, he's got a $20.3 million cap hit. That's a good chunk of the pie. So if you were to add a year or two on, you could spread those cap hits out a little bit more and make it easier for yourself to spend more money next off season. Now, let me ask you guys this question before we look at our trivia question and answer. Who was your first favorite Falcons player? I can't remember if we've asked this question before, so maybe I'm having a case of old man brain right now, but let me know who your first favorite Falcons player was down below in the comment section. All right, one last time before we reveal the answer. Trivia. The Falcons extended what offensive tackle to a 6-year, $40.8 million contract in 2013, but he only played 4 games on that deal? I like to get a good balance of easy, medium, hard trivia questions. This is definitely one of the harder ones. So if anyone gets this right, I'll be very impressed. Let me know in the comment section. But the answer, drumroll please, it is Sam Baker, offensive tackle for the Falcons from 2008 to 2014. He got injured 4 games into the 2013 season, knee injury. He bounces back 2014, knee injury again in the preseason, and that ended his career. So back-to-back knee injuries within a 12-month span, and unfortunately for Sam Baker, never got all that 6-year, $40 million. So injuries suck, and that's kind of actually an unintended, good example and reasoning as to why you see players accept these extensions before free agency gets here, where maybe they can get more money because you don't want to be a Sam Baker. You don't want to have all that money go down the drain because of an injury. So sign it right now. You get all that guaranteed money no matter what happens. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, give us a like, comment, share our video with a friend, and we will see everyone later. Archangel, first favorite Falcons player, primetime Deion Sanders. I like that one. We got Jamal Anderson, Jesse Tuggle, William, Steve Bartkowski. Who was your first favorite Falcons player? Let me know in the comment section below. Andrew says Michael Vick because of Madden. Very acceptable. Michael Vick was a cheat code in Madden. Wasn't he the quarterback of the Madden 25 game where it had the best player at each position in Madden history? I stopped playing Madden actually pretty early on.
Yeah.
I don't think I played beyond Madden. The last cover I remember playing consistently was either the Barry Sanders or the Richard Sherman one.
Nice.
I don't remember playing beyond that much.
Consistently, I think, was the Antonio Brown one. I think that was Madden 19 or something.
Yeah, I don't think I got to AB.
It's been a while. Goated Michael Vick thing was that commercial for the Michael Vick experience where the guy is it's like a roller coaster and it has him going through Michael Vick scoring a touchdown. Have you seen that commercial?
That's not ringing a bell.
It's I don't know what it's for, but it's awesome. You should check it out after
I gotta watch that one.
It's sick.
Deion Sanders is definitely a prime answer right now, no pun intended, for first favorite Falcons player. Yeah, Madden is trash. Football, I don't think it's really easy to make any sports game just because there has to be an element of human error, and that's tough to have guys in video games do Because if they do drop a pass, you're furious at them for dropping that easy pass. That would never happen. But it's like, how do you get a factor of human error into the game? Okay, are we ready to jump into the mailbag next? Hashtag Falcons or Super Chat if you want to guarantee your question gets on screen. Shout out to Grand Limousine. Shout out to Andrew Beto for super chatting today. If you super chat, we'll throw it on for all of our wonderful viewers to see and appreciate the support and the donation to the channel. Steven's first favorite Falcons player, Julio Jones. Andrew, I agree. FIFA was and is my all-time favorite sports video game. I played FIFA. I can't even put a number on it. Actually, all 4 years of college. I would just come home and play it. FIFA, homework in college didn't exist because of FIFA. My friend and I, we played so much, we actually created a spreadsheet. We kept track of our score in the series and the teams we played. And he was like a analytics major, so he was pretty good at Excel. All the formulas in there. Yeah, that was a fun time. Lives in Decatur, Georgia now. Okay, are we ready to jump into the mailbag, Mr. Trace? Yeah? Sorta? Okay. If you think of a question, don't be a stranger. Put it in the chat, hashtag Falcons. Producer Trace will put it on screen. And if you want to guarantee your question passes everyone in line, super chat, and then we'll throw it on for everyone watching to see. We will end our mailbag with all the super chats we got leading up to the mailbag. Sound good? All right, let's jump into a live edition of Falcons Today. Mailbag time here on Falcons Today. Nope. Okay. It kind of froze for a second. All right, well, you guys get to see how the sausage is made. We'll just start over. Yeah, you ready? Mailbag time here on Falcons Today. I'm answering questions that were asked during our live show, which airs every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So, let's get into our first question coming in from Dat1 Falcons fan. Yannick Ngakoue on a 1-year, $6 to $7 million deal. No opposition for me. There is just no way the Falcons could add an edge rusher, and I'll be upset about it. At this point, you're not giving any edge rusher a ton of guaranteed money, so if they really come into training camp out of shape and don't look like they're ready to play 17 games, cut them. But at least bring the competition in. I would be very much on board with signing Yannick Ngakoue. Look at the front five. Yannick Ngakoue has traditionally been a defensive end in a 4-3 defense, so I'd be curious to see if he plays as a 3-4 front, a defensive end, or as an outside linebacker. But either way, get him on the field for third and long and let him headhunt the quarterback. That's what he did so well. Don't ask him to stop the run on 1st and 10. But yes, all in on Yannick Ngakoue or any other edge rusher. 1 year, $6-7 million contract. I'll sign the dotted line. Next question coming in from Kiotes. Why didn't we take an offensive tackle in the draft? If our front two get injured, there aren't too many guys that can step in and perform great. Do you think we will sign one or draft one in the draft? Okay. So there is a lot of internal confidence in Tyler Vrabel and Storm Norton. Both those guys filled in last year when Matthews and Caleb McGarry both suffered injuries, either during the game or in between games and whatnot. So that's one reason why. Also, I just don't really categorically agree with the Falcons draft, but when they took Michael Penix in round 1, well, you only have so many picks, and now everything got shifted one round later. So now you had to go get a defensive player in round 2 because you didn't do that in round 1. So whatever your priority list position-wise was, whoever the bottom was, it got kicked out because quarterback superseded and everything got pushed back one, and there's only 7 rounds. So that's why they didn't take an offensive tackle, because they had to go defense because they didn't do defense in round 1, and they had to go with a quantity over quality approach. They want to spread as many, chips on the table for these defensive draft picks and Rukaroro and Braylon Trice and Brandon Dorless and hope 2 of them hit. So that's why, as to whether or not they'll sign one, I don't think they will. They added one from the Patriots that got cut a few weeks ago, and I think they're internally very happy with Vrabel and Norton, and I think they're very confident in Matthews and McGarry not getting injured because Those are two guys that have been very healthy for much of their NFL careers. Jake Matthews is an Iron Man. Andrew Beto, do you think Grady Jarrett will get extended? Grady Jarrett, 31 years old, coming off a torn ACL, is probably not prime extension candidate. I think Terrell and Dalman would get extended before Jarrett. However, his cap hit for next season is $20.3 million. So if they want to keep him on their roster, but not at a cap hit of $20.3 million, there are some ways you can go about that. One, you can add void years to a deal. Now, void years are something that some organizations lead into more than others. Usually, if you have an owner that will green light a lot of spending, then the GM will add void years to contract. Void years, for those of you that don't know, they are mythological years added onto a player's contract. Let's say you sign a guy to a 3-year contract and you put 3 void years on, and he's got $30 million in cap hit. Well, you could spread those $30 million over 3 years by doing 10 a year. Or you could spread it over 6 years and bring it down to $5 million a year. So if you've got an owner that's okay with spending money over a longer period of time, then you can add the void years. Arthur Blank has been pretty liberal in his spending, but not the most liberal. There are definitely owners that spend more than the Falcons. So if the Falcons want to lower Grady Jarrett's cap hit and they don't want to do void years to do that, they could extend him a year or two, spread that cap hit out over more seasons, and they could feel like that's someone worthy of an extension because it's Grady Jarrett. He's been so reliable for us for a decade at this point. Archangel, which Falcons player, an underdog, are we overlooking as fans that could possibly have the biggest impact in helping this team get over the hump and into the playoffs and possibly go deep? I'll give you one on offense and one on defense. On offense, I think it has to be Darnell Mooney. You know what you have in Drake London. The guy put up nearly back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, and Taylor Heineke as his quarterback. Imagine what he's going to do with Kirk Cousins. It's going to be 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, guaranteed. However, teams are going to hone in on Drake London. So can Darnell Mooney live up to the 3-year, $39 million payday and be a true number 2 wide receiver? So that's going to be someone that will play a huge role if the Falcons get over the hump in doing so. Defensively, I think it's got to be Arnold Ebiketie. Last year, 6 sacks. That's the highest sack leader returning on this team's roster from a season ago. It's got to be Arnold Ebiketie to push the Falcons' defense not over the top, but to manageable. To like, okay, this isn't a defense that anyone's going to add in their fantasy football leagues, but it's not going to be the worst defense in football. As sad as this sounds, I think the goal for the Falcons' defense this year is don't be embarrassing. Don't be a laughingstock. Just tread water. Be the 18th to 24th ranked defense. And with the investments they've made offensively, that could hopefully be enough to get them to 10, maybe 11 wins. We got Black Mario, 618. Will the Falcons bring in another wide receiver? I sure hope so. I know I am a broken record, but you see where the new offense has come from. Your offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, from the Rams, who led the NFL in 11 personnel usage last year, which is 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. You don't put 3 wide receivers in the field to run the ball. So you have an offense that is going to be conceived from a pass-happy approach with Zach Robinson. And Kirk Cousins comes over from the Vikings, which was an extremely pass-happy offense. So if you're going to have a pass-happy offense, this is no longer the era of you need just 1 good wide receiver and a solid second. You need 2 legit wide receivers to hang with the best of them. And then you need a third in case something happens to one of those top 2 guys. And Rondale Moore and Kadero Hodge and Ray McLeod are just not guys that I trust to be a third wide receiver in an offense that's probably going to be top 5 in pass attempts. Matthew Petey fan, what team do you think is the Falcons' biggest threat in 2024, and who might we play in the first round of the playoffs if we make it? Biggest threat in 2024, it's got to be one of the division opponents. So the Buccaneers are kind of the team to beat. They just won the division, although opting to run it back for a team that went 9-8 They didn't have many other choices, but I'm not sold on the Buccaneers being able to repeat that type of success again. I would say the Saints, from a rivalry standpoint, like that's going to be a game that everyone gets up for, especially with the way that Week 18 ended between those two teams. Kind of envision how the first two games this year are going to go, or their two games this year are going to go. So I'll say the Saints are standing in the way. And then who could they play? I mean, if the Falcons win the division, probably get fourth, and say probably I'm not trying to sell them low, but if they win the division, like I don't think they're gonna have a better record than the winner of the NFC West, which will probably be the 49ers. I don't think they'll have a better record, maybe the NFC North, but the Lions were really good last year, and the Vikings won a playoff game. And the Bears got Caleb Williams. The Vikings are just there, and then you got the NFC East, which the Eagles are frauds, the Cowboys are frauds. I think this year, so maybe they both fall apart a little bit. But I think the Falcons win the division. They'll probably be a 10-win team and get the 4th spot. And that could put them on a collision course for the runner-up in the NFC West, which I think would be the Rams. So let me ask you guys this question. Will the Falcons win a playoff game this year? Give me a yes or give me a no down in the comments section. It's June. It's almost July. Put me in the happy camp. I'll say Y for yes. All right, that will do it for us on today's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our mailbag. If you liked today's episode, give us a like, a comment, subscribe, and we'll see everyone later with more Falcons content. Will Atlanta win a playoff game this year? Mason B, Petey, do you find it as strange as I do that it's not a bigger deal that the Falcons' Grady Jarrett is Jesse Tuggle's son? They must have major beef, and Tuggle announced his draft pick. Awkward. I guess I never really thought too much about the drama. But maybe that's something to think about a little bit more going to bed at night. I'm just looking over some Wikipedias here. Son? Yeah, that is kind of, I don't know. Interesting. I never thought about that. Well, at least not in a while, I guess. All right. Mason B, thank you as always for tuning in, dude. You are always a legend in the chat. We got one from William. Just wanted to say your team and you do great. Let's beat the division. Go Falcons and beat them in subs. Appreciate you, William. Really, really do. The whole entire cast and crew here at Chat Sports works really hard every single day to try to get as much and quality content out to you guys as possible. We're going to stay live for at least the next 10 minutes because the Celtics are on the clock right now. And I want to see what happens with Bronny James because the Lakers are next. So right now we have the Celtics on the clock in round 2 at pick 54. I don't believe Bronny James has been selected. Right or wrong? No? Okay. So, with that being said, we got to wait and see together if Bronny James gets drafted. I mean, not if gets drafted, like, that's okay. Okay. Will the Lakers draft Bronny James? We'll add the S to the Lakers in a moment. Producer Trace is working on the fly. Celtics on the clock right now. Listen, when it comes to Bronny James, I actually feel a little bad for him. Not that there's a whole lot to feel bad about for him because he's got generational wealth for the rest of his life, no matter what he does. You only get to get drafted once. And I feel like there was a sense of impatience that went into this. If you know that you're probably not going to be an NBA quality player, why not just enjoy college basketball? Like, what's wrong with just having a 4-year college experience?
Yeah, why not just enjoy college?
That's what I'm saying. Like
it's you don't get 4 years of being that age back.
Yeah. Like, why are you rushing this? Like, what's the rush to go round 2 in the draft? You're going round 2 now, or you're going round 2 in 4 years because your name's Bronny James. Why not spend 4 years in college?
Yeah, I mean,
like that seems like a really
3.
That seems like a really fun way to spend the next 4 years. The NBA is going to be there for you. And let's be honest, like if you are not that great, you're probably not going to be very long anyway.
And if you're Bronny James, doesn't really matter. It feels like you said he's set up.
I get it if you're like, I've got it. Like, I would say I get it. I understand why his dad would probably, LeBron was like, I want to play with you, and I can't wait 4 years. But, man, you are tossing out college to play 1 year with your dad in the NBA. Is that really worth it? I don't know. Okay. Come on, Celtics. Make the pick. Bronny James is the 6th best player available. I disagree fundamentally without watching anyone else, by the way, play. This guy from Lithuania is probably better.
Yeah, not knowing anything about any of the players available.
Yeah.
Yeah, no chance.
All right, we're on Bronny James watch, though. It is the biggest story in the NBA draft. The Hawks had the first overall pick, and Bronny James going 54th or 55th is going to be a bigger storyline. Like, that's just the difference of LeBron James' son. All right, Celtics.
Also, remember how you were like, I hate how teams will draft a player then trade him away? The Mavs did that with the Knicks. The Knicks drafted a player, and then the Mavs traded for him.
I can't keep track of that shit. Okay. The Celtics pick is in. The Boston Celtics have an opportunity to do the funniest thing ever and take Bronny James here.
And
then hold him hostage.
This isn't the meme of, could be the funny. No, this literally could be the funniest thing ever.
Like, Bronny would melt if he's like, I'm just a pawn right now. Okay. Pick is in for Boston. We're in the middle of a Carfax commercial. Imagine if Bronny was selected during a Carfax commercial. That would
Adam
be
Silver
awesome.
would not allow that.
Okay. Come on, Boston. Make the selection or announce the selection. Lakers on the clock after this. If the Lakers don't take Bronny, we're leaving, because then I don't think he gets drafted. But there's no way the Lakers don't take Bronny. And listen, if you're a Lakers fan, I don't think you should be upset that they take Bronny, because that second-round pick was not going to amount to anything anyway. So if the price of LeBron giving you a championship in a Mickey Mouse 2020 COVID bubble is he wastes one of your second-round draft picks, that's a trade worthy of making. Like, that's something you can accept. Okay. Come on, Celtics. The selection for Boston is, it's the middle of a Pacifico commercial right now, so I don't think they're going to do, Anton Watson just got drafted to the Boston Celtics, the reigning NBA world champs, and Pacifico was doing a surfing commercial. So, the Celtics are cowards. They're pussies. They took Watson from Gonzaga. He'll be out of the league selling insurance in 3 years. And they didn't take Bronny and hold him hostage and play Game of Thrones. All right, Lakers are on the clock. What do the Lakers do? Are they going to take Bronny? They're definitely going to take Bronny. PD, who is the NBA GOAT? I'm a Michael Jordan stan. That's my NBA GOAT. I don't want to get in the GOAT debate. The issue with the GOAT debate is if you don't pick someone to be a GOAT, the other side interprets it as you think that other player is bad. Guys, just because you're second in the world at something doesn't mean you're bad. Okay, the Lakers, who took Dalton Connect in round 1 at pick 17.
Is LeBron going to make this call?
That's a great question. Will LeBron make this call?
LeBron's going to take a press conference if Bronny gets drafted here and be like,
he's going to make it out
I
himself.
was reading the book 7 years ago. I saw it in the future. We were drafting Bronny
I knew when I
at
held
55.
him. I knew when I held him as a newborn baby in my arms that he'd be a Laker one day.
He would be
me.
a late second round pick.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was telling him from the day he was born.
Now here'd be a funny thing. A team should call the Lakers and say, "We'll give you our first round pick next year, unprotected, for this second rounder," and then force the Lakers to say no, and then people can get mad at the Lakers for passing on a first for Bronny. That would actually be an absolute pretzel in your head.
That's the funniest thing ever.
Yes. The Clippers need to call and offer their first so that the Clippers can say, Lakers fans, your team turned on a first-round draft pick for this year's second-round draft pick. Okay. Come on, Lakers. Make the selection. I'm not looking at the spoilers on Twitter. I'm watching old-fashioned way, baby, on TV, waiting for the pick to be made and called in. Lakers last year finishing 47 and 35. I thought they had a slightly worse record. I also love that the NBA does these proposed trades. Just call them trades. I don't know. You guys make your own rules. Change them. I also love seeing NBA team needs versus NFL team needs. Like NFL team needs is just cornerback. NBA is ball handling guard. It's like, whoa. Could you imagine if NFL team needs were like red zone wide receiver? Okay, a lot of handshakes going on in El Segundo, California at the UCLA Health Training Center. I will say for an NBA draft, they look like they're doing a fantasy football draft. It kind of looks like they're drafting dodgeball players. Okay, the pick is in for the Lakers. It's got to be Bronny. It's going to be Bronny. I know it is. I just want to see what they do for the announcement of this selection. Because the last one was during a Pacifico commercial. So, is this one with all the bells and whistles? I'm not looking at the chat because I'm sure it's been spoiled in the chat already. So, keep my eyes up here. Let's see the pick. Come on, Bronny. Here's a question. Will Bronny start a single game for the Lakers this year?
Bronny might be out of the league in 3 years.
I think Bronny's out of the league when LeBron's out of the league.
Yeah, when LeBron tires, Bronny's gone.
Second round draft picks in the NBA do not get 3 to 4 years of leash. They can be gone after 1 year. There are lots of cases of second round draft picks never even playing for that team, especially the Europeans. All right, here we go. Oh, of course, they went to the podium for the Lakers selection. Okay, let me listen to audio. Yeah, they did it. The Los Angeles Lakers selected Bronny James, 55th overall, and we all knew this was coming. I'm a little surprised they were able to put together highlights for Bronny James because he didn't do a whole lot last year for USC. So Bronny James will team up with his dad, second-round draft pick. I just don't think this is a good decision. Enjoy college, Bronny. I don't know. Old man take. All right. Well, Bronny James is a Laker. That's the most interesting part of the NBA draft. So we'll sign off. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day and into the weekend. I've got a 21st birthday to go to tomorrow. So I'm off Friday and Saturday. Don't worry, I'll still have videos those days. And then I'll be back Sunday for some fresh content. So hopefully, on my flight home on Saturday, get some Falcons rumors out there. But until then, we'll see everyone later.